Brett Johnson. A heat advisory in effect today as we expect cloudy skies and a high near 90. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 70, and Thursday, sunny with a high around 84. The Great Wall Restaurant serves up bold, authentic Chinese flavors. From hot and sour soup to Peking duck, their Szechuan and Mandarin menu is packed with favorites. Visit them at 4515 France Avenue South or at greatwallrestaurant.us. That's greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. And, of course, in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. It is the Matt McNeil Show on your Wednesday. Good to have you with us. Jeff McGillicuddy-Stein joining us here in a little bit. Here, Patrick is kind enough to join us. We, of course, are located in the Twin Cities metro area. And, dude, that storm was like Bali out there. We just got... They were saying 2 inches of rain an hour was coming out of the sky.
That's pretty crazy. I commented to the Gailey Show guys. I said Miami. It looked like Miami outside.
Well, I'll give you one. We are in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. We should not have rainstorms that look like it's coastal South Carolina. I've been to coastal South Carolina. It's a touch more tropical than it is here in the Midwest. We've got corn. They've got palm trees. We like it this way. Oh, man. But hey, yeah, no, let's never say anything about climate change because reasons. Heaven forbid a billionaire not make another billionaire until they're ready to let us have. Oh, okay. Now we got to take climate change seriously now that all the oil and coal is gone. Now that I'm living on Baffin Island. Thanks for that. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I'll start off with a little bit of a smile file for you today, as French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte are suing right-wing commentator Candace Owens for defamation. Now, apparently, in a suit filed on Wednesday in Delaware against Owens and her businesses, the Macrons say Owens was engaged in an ongoing defamatory, needless to say, she just didn't want to stop, attacks against them in order to elevate her media platform, gain more audience, and make money. Owens said in early 2024 that she would stake her entire professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron is, in fact, a man. Well, you're about to, because that is stupid. Since then, she has doubled down on these claims, added more, including an 8-part podcast series called Becoming Brigitte, the lawsuit alleges. The Macrons sought retractions from Owens, the suit says, for the demonstrably false claims she has made about them, but instead she mocked them and used them as additional fodder for a frenzied fan base. The outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions include Macron was born a man, stole another person's identity, transitioned to become Brigitte. Miss Macron and Mr. President Macron are blood relatives in committing incest. President Macron has chosen to be the president of France as part of a CIA-operated MKU Ultra program and similar mind control program. Miss Macron and President Macron are committing forgery, fraud, and abuses of power, concealing these secrets. Because Miss Owen... Yeah, she decided to quadruple down on this, or quintuple down. When they contacted you and said, this is false, you need to stop, you can't just, you can argue, well, it's freedom of speech. No. If you're saying something false, undeniably false, then, and you get confronted on it, you kind of have to stop or at least prove it. You can't be Mike Lindell and keep saying, I'll eventually show you what I got, but don't ask to see it, that sort of thing. What's funny is, this is probably going to be a 9-figure settlement. I'm going to guess this is going to be a 9-figure settlement. What's funny right now is all the right-wing trolls are all jumping on and saying, boy, oh boy, is Macron making a huge mistake? Boy, oh boy, I can't believe he fell into our trap. He should probably stop suing her right now. All they're doing is bringing more attention to this. Boy, oh boy, they were foolish. Don't sue me. I never said any of this stuff was real. I just was Candace said it, but don't come after me. I mean, that's kind of what's going on right now, which is hilarious, which is a delight. You enjoy the pain you have just created for yourself. All my best. Good luck. Loves and smooches. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We have got to understand the mess we have got in this country due to our corrupted media. And I have got to. This is from Axios. This is actually supposedly a neutral news option. All right. I'm going to read this verbatim. I'm not going to post this story because I'm not going to give them anything, but I'm going to read you what these guys wrote in an article. President Trump, in terms of raw accomplishments, crushed his first 6 months in historic ways. Massive tax cuts, record low border crossing, surging tariff revenue, stunning airstrikes in Iran, modest inflation. Yet poll after poll suggests most Americans aren't impressed. In fact, they seem tired of all the winning. Seriously. Axios actually published this. Now, first of all, let's just go with the fact that you guys have left out a lot of stuff. First of all, massive tax cuts. Well, yeah, if you're a millionaire or billionaire, the other side of that is to make those tax cuts happen, even with a $4 trillion increase in the deficit, you have to slash pretty much every social safety net program to the bone in this country, and indeed are going to kick elderly people and disabled people off Medicaid and Medicare. That's your goal. So, no, that's not a win. You specifically didn't tell the truth there, Axios. Record low border crossings. Well, yeah, because they're committing crimes against humanity. They're committing crimes against humanity. This ICE Gestapo is just grabbing people off the street and throwing them into prison. No, they're not following any rules, anything. So, yeah, we look like a bunch of freaking psychopaths in this country. So I guess not as many people want to come here, which once again, you want to also skip past the fact that we need low-income workers to come in here and do a lot of the jobs we don't want to do because MAGA doesn't seem to be interested in doing the jobs they demand to get open. Surging tariff revenue. Okay, this is just inexcusable that Axios would write this. Surging tariff. That's a tax on us. That is a tax on the American people. That's not... The American people and American businesses have to pay for this tariff thing. And I'll get to the Japanese trade deal here in a sec. But that's not a good thing. It costs us a heck of a lot more. And no, tomorrow, there isn't a factory that a foreign country owns that's ready to go, that all they have to do is like, well, I guess we're going to go make this product over there now. And they walk in, they flip it on the switch, and they're making the product there. Because that's what you guys think is going to happen. That doesn't exist. And reality is for most of these companies to have to produce a product here in the United States, a few things have to happen. One, about a billion, maybe $2 billion worth of investment in this country, which, you know, before you go through that and put that on your bottom line, you have to ask how much longer is Trump going to be in power? But as well, you need to have, if they're going to have anything that's viable as far as market, you have to slash wages, slash benefits to get the prices down as much as possible. And plus, then you have a big problem with raw materials, which most of them are imported. The idea that this tariff is a good thing, it basically is a tax. And I'm going to let you know, when Biden was in office, the tariff on Japan was 2%. With Trump, his compromise deal is 15%, which means everything there is basically a 7.5% tax increase. Not percent, a 7.5 times higher tax increase on all those products coming from Japan, which there are a few of them. And yeah, that's not good. Airstrikes in Iran. All right. You missed. I don't know if you got the memo. You missed 2 targets where there was nuclear material. And the third target, they were able to get the nuclear material out before you struck. So swing and a miss on that. So Iran, now feeling threatened, is definitely rushing their nuclear program, which we had pretty much stopped before. This is, I'm sorry, Axios they shouldn't be able to list themselves as a news outlet anymore with such bias I shouldn't say unfiltered, filtered, pro-Trump filtered news. I mean, my God, Fox News is blushing at this kind of coverage. And this is supposedly one of the neutral outlets. There was another story that came out. They were talking about, boy, oh boy, those Democrats found a weakness in the Trump armor with this whole Epstein thing. You guys are acting like this is new. I have been talking about Trump and Epstein for 7 years, 8 years, when it became clear those two guys were buddies. I think we talked about when Pam Bondi let Epstein go back, what was it, 2012 or something like that? We were talking about that. Like, you had the guy dead to rights, and she basically said nothing to see here. You guys have purposely and intentionally ignored this story. I mean, I want to repeat that. The national news media has purposely and intentionally ignored this story. And it wasn't until Elon Musk said, oh, Trump's on the Epstein list, that all of a sudden you went, what? Maybe it is worthwhile for us to cover the fact that the president of the United States might be the king pedophile. Maybe we should cover that. Is there anything else on Joe Biden we can cover? No, he's really kind of out of the spotlight. Okay, I guess we'll finally look into this. And it's amazing to me how many times per day something that I've been talking about, or, legitimate news outlets have been talking about for almost a decade in regards to Trump and Epstein, act like, did you see this Howard Stern interview? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Oh, here's an Entertainment Weekly video clip. Where did this come from? You guys just ignored it because loyalty to Trump. I'm guessing that's it, because it sure wasn't journalistic integrity. You would think the president of the United States, being pedophile in chief, would actually spur you to go on out there and ask the question, hey, is there anything to this thing where the guy's been apparently on the Jeffrey Epstein child sex plane going to the child sex island? That these women who have repeatedly said, oh yeah, he sexually assaulted me, when they were girls, maybe we should listen to them. Nah, Joe Biden did something. We need to talk about Joe Biden. And now they can't keep this under wraps because the evidence is so obnoxiously in your face that you have Johnson. I'll get into this with Stein. Johnson literally running from Washington, D.C. to get out of town. This is what we're up against. We are up against a news media that you can no longer, outside of The Guardian, Minnesota Reformer, Heartland Signal, everyone else you got to presume is compromised. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Hi, this is Laura with Food Freedom Radio, and I invite you to discover 2 local grocery stores with a global fare. Market Fresh, south of Rosedale, carries fresh vegetables, quality meats, seafood, and a wide variety of grocery staples, all in a welcoming store. Shanghai Wholesale Market is in the St. Paul Midway area, and it's a food warehouse open to the public. Shanghai Wholesale carries more than 500 types of noodles. And frankly, it's time for Minnesotans to learn that pasta is a little bit more than spaghetti noodles and tuna casserole. There's sweet potato, bean, rice, fresh, frozen, rye. It's a paradise for those seeking gluten-free pasta. Also, both Market Fresh and Shanghai Wholesale Market seek to buy local, so you can look for local quail eggs, unique cheeses, and Minnesota-made tofu. Open the door to food abundance. Discover Market Fresh, your local Asian food store just south of Rosedale, and Shanghai Wholesale Market, your local international food warehouse north of Menards in the St. Paul Midway area.
For a decade, it's captivated Twin Cities audiences, and now the cultural phenomenon Glen Sheen returns. This captivating musical by Jeffrey Hatcher and Chan Poling features strong performances from a talented 7-member ensemble and Ron Peluso's brilliant direction. It's a limited engagement July 7th through the 25th at the History Theater in downtown St. Paul. Get tickets at historytheater.com. That's History Theater, spelled R-E.com.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is having their annual sale for the entire month of July. All of their indoor and outdoor fireplace products and accessories are at the lowest price of the year.
Did you know that now there's also a 30% federal tax credit when you install an efficient wood heating stove or fireplace? At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we can explain and show you the many options. We have the Twin Cities' widest selection of wood-burning stoves and fireplaces.
I love my wood stove. We enjoy the sense of well-being we get by cutting and splitting wood to warm our home. Wood is our choice, but you may have other choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Whether transforming an existing fireplace or adding something new, a clean-burning wood, gas, or electric fire can have you sitting pretty and cozy by the fire.
Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces at Riverside and East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis or at woodlandstoves.com. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Speaking of that Japanese trade deal, let's talk a little bit about this. What happened here? Because once again, Trump is acting like it's the greatest deal in the history of mankind. And no, I'm going to just tell you right from the get-go, everything from Japan is going to cost more. And no, not everything that Japan ships to us is just going to be produced over here now. That's just not it. President Trump touted a new deal on Tuesday evening, announcing an agreement with a social media platform. It was just completed a massive deal with Japan, perhaps the biggest deal ever made. Liar. You're so pathetic. You're just large, swelling orange caboose is just pathetic. Japan will invest at my direction $550 billion in the United States. We'll come back to that, which will receive 90% of the profits. So basically, Japan's going to give like $400 million. I mean, this sounds like a bribe more than anything else. Like they're going to give me this money. And would anybody be surprised if Donald Trump actually took this money and put it in his pocket and said, it was mine. I negotiated the deal. It's mine. It's not the U.S. people. It's mine. And every Republican would go, yeah, it kind of is, isn't it? I mean, he deserves to have a finder's fee, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's pretty stupid to say the least, but that's Trump. Trump claimed the deal would create hundreds of thousands of jobs. That's never been anything like it. Perhaps the most important, Japan will open their country to trade, including cars and trucks, rice, and certain agricultural projects and things. Now, I will say there is one minor concession from Japan is that they're not going to get up to the tariff level of rice imports coming into Japan from the United States, but they are going to take more rice from the United States. It's a minor concession. I mean, rice producers probably are a little happy about it, but it still is minimal. They're keeping it below the tariff increase rate. And and once again, our products can flow freely into that country. There's not really going to be any tariffs on any products. So Japan gets a great deal if they want to buy our products. And there's two things. One, they don't generally want to buy our products. And two, they hate us now because of Donald Trump. So like most countries, they're looking to go out of their way to avoid buying American at this point. The president noted Japan will play reciprocal tariffs of 15% on the United States. That's a 7.5 times higher tariff rate, a 7.5 times higher tariff rate than under Joe Biden. So everything is going to cost on the tariffs alone, 7.5 times higher, 15% as opposed to 2%. He said, very exciting times. Japanese officials have not publicly commented on the terms. I'll come back to that in a second as well. Critics roundly mock the new deal. An author of economic newsletters, Trump announces 15% tariffs on Japan, another trade deal that's even worse than what we had before he took office. In another effort to distract from Epstein, Trump just posted that he made a deal with Japan and they will invest at his discretion $550 billion into the United States, which will receive 90% of the profits. Yeah, okay, Grandpa, that doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't. Japan's just not going to give the United States all that money. Spencer Heikiman, founder of Tolu Capital Management, Trump to impose 15% tariff on goods from Japan. Japan doesn't even charge 1% tariff on us. This is a complete joke, which once again, they already have a really low tariff rate on us. We can flood their market. They just don't want our product. Software developer Lucas Baker, one bad policy after another in this administration. Future historians will note this is the area which age where American homogeny made a rapid and irreversible decline. Prediction, Japanese consumers don't want our cars, trucks, or rice. They don't generally. They don't like the rice either. Clara Jeffrey followed up in the post and basically where are the Japanese buyers for our gas cars right now? She noted China has electric vehicles that eliminate range anxiety, cost like $11,000, are very cool, and the cars can dance. And those are $11,000. You're going to think you're going to ship a Buick that has 8 miles to the gallon over to Japan, and they're just going to buy them all? Come on. The Japanese commuters are not going to pop for an American car. That's why the big three fighting the status quo rather than the future is so short-sighted. And then after the fact, there was a story that basically on the card on Trump's desk where he announced this deal displays a 10% tariff in addition to a 15% levy rate on the automotive, which he basically apparently scratched out and put 15% in. And it's not clear whether or not he did that after the fact with Japan. And it sounds like something what Trump would do. He negotiated actually a 10% tariff rate, but then they were sitting in the White House, we're going to announce a 15% and then dare them to basically disagree with us. Also, there is apparently an implication that Japan would invest $400 billion. Now, whether 90% of the profits go to the United States is yet to be seen. No details on this. But he scratched that out, wrote 500 on it, and then someone scratched that out and put 550. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And once again, he announces this, and everyone, the markets go crazy. 400 points for what? Everything's going to still cost more, and they're not going to take more of our product. And no, the fastest these Japanese companies, if they really wanted to, if they were so committed to it, could come here and get a company, a factory going with jobs 2, maybe 3 years. So this is a long-term thing, but there's no guarantee they're going to come because once again, if I'm a Japanese company, do I go out and spend $2 billion building facilities in the United States, or do I just tick-tock goes the clock? Oh, here comes another guy. I can negotiate with him because he's not an insane moron. This on top of home builders are beginning to feel the impact of tariffs on their input costs. The cost of construction inputs skyrocketed during the pandemic. As interest rates plummets, builders took advantage of the cheap supply to launch new products. But once again, the prices are now well above the pre-pandemic levels. The impact of import taxes is beginning to show up in the balance sheets there. So there's that problem. Sales previously on homes in June fell 2.7% from May to 3.93 million units on seasonally adjusted annual basis. They basically expected only a drop of just 0.7%. So this is a massive drop in home sales. Sales were so the sales are basically down dramatically. And this report is based on closing, so contracts are still likely signed in April and May when the average rate on the 30-year fixed mortgage jumped from 7% a few times and never went below 6.8%. On top of that, I posted this morning the ground beef prices are skyrocketing right now because Trump has screwed up the trade markets here that we have. And I want to once again, I think the crypto market is falsely, artificially pumping up the stock market. And here's why I say is because 3 years ago, if all of a sudden the beef market was seeing skyrocketing prices, that would have caused the markets to drop. Imposing a tariff of 15% tariff on all Japanese goods would cause the markets to drop. The housing sector seeing really cooling sales would have caused the stock market to drop. All three of those freaking things happened in one day, and the stock market went up. It makes no sense. It is going to crash, and when it does crash, it's going to come down, and it's going to come down desperately. And it should be noted as well, these beef prices probably not going to be coming down anytime soon because we need Brazilian beef to make that price point work, and Brazil hates our guts now. So, yeah. We'll take a break. Come on back. Jeff Stein, when we return, it's the Matt McNeil Show.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Hey, Minnesota, it's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast. You're listening to AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
This is Alex Knorr from Buzzcut Mowing, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. I take the hard work off your plate with weekly mowing. I also offer leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I'll keep your lawn beautiful so you can enjoy your weekends with the people who matter most. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP, or visit snapconstruction.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. A heat advisory in effect today as we expect cloudy skies and a high near 90. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 70, and Thursday sunny with a high around 84. The Great Wall Restaurant serves up bold, authentic Chinese flavors. From hot and sour soup to Peking duck, their Szechuan and Mandarin menu is packed with favorites. Visit them at 4515 France Avenue South or at greatwallrestaurant.us. That's greatwallrestaurant.us.
Jeff. Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff.
Jeff Stein's our national and presidential expert, noted author. You can find his books at your favorite book retailer, the Iowa Business Report, the Iowa Politics Report. Come to us from his flagship station, KXEL, Cedar Falls, Waterloo, where he is kind enough to join us today. Hello, Jeff.
There's no air conditioning in my studio, Matt.
There is not?
No.
Yikes. I bet that smells great.
Well, it's 91 degrees outside.
How many decades ago was the last time that room really got a deep cleaning?
I don't think they cleaned it after it was built, and that was 40 some years ago. But amazingly, it's not as bad as you would think. Probably because we have virtually no employees, and so it's
some people love working in a slaughterhouse.
And you're going to transition that into today's topic, aren't you, buddy?
Oh, hey,
working in a slaughterhouse.
The speed at which Speaker Johnson has run out of DC. Okay, that is, I mean, once again, they had the thing which I think is funny is they're now trying to play this off like, no, this was always intended. They actually canceled a whole bunch of votes they had scheduled. And once again, they've taken their August recess 2 weeks early, as clearly there is this problem within their party right now where there's enough Republicans who are saying, no, I want to see exactly who is on this Epstein list. And the worst kept secret out there, everyone knows the only option they had is to basically run and hope that this somehow becomes a secondary issue by the time they get back in September.
Well, what they're hoping to, yes, you're right. But keep in mind, they already were on a 6-week August recess. Yeah. Even if they had voted all day tomorrow, they were going to be out of town before the 25th, and they weren't going to come back till after Labor Day. Near as I can count, that's more than just August. At least the Senate is scheduled to be in session next week, at least through Thursday. But again, that could change at any moment. They have said the theory is, just as it's been reported, hope that this dies down, because then it'll be the new crisis. When they come back after Labor Day, what's going to be the focus? Well, I will tell you it's still Epstein. But the focus is
it will be.
But they're going to want the focus to be avoiding a government shutdown at the end of the month. So you leave town early to avoid one crisis and therefore contribute to the next crisis that you'll be blamed for because you're still working off Democrat-controlled Congress's continuing resolutions. The thing is just a train wreck, and they can't get out of their own way.
I would love to hear your thoughts. Why are, I think the count is 15 Republicans in the House are like, no, we need to see what's on this list. You guys promised this, and now this whole, you have Bondi saying the list is on my desk. Now you're acting like the list isn't there. Now the list is back, but it's Obama. Why do you think these, is it like Massey and Rand Paul, where once again, I don't agree with them, but they campaigned on not raising the deficit. So adding $4 trillion to the deficit seemed to be counterproductive to their argument. Is it really just that simple? Is that that they are standing by this fact that they're going to, regardless, even if it's Trump exposed, that they're going to expose the pedophiles?
Well, there are a couple of things deep in the weeds on this. Supposedly, J.D. Vance met with members of the Murdoch family and folks tied to the Wall Street Journal before the story came out. Now, there are some who say, well, that's because he was, trying to do damage control for the administration. No, it was to curry favor in case the Epstein thing blew up and he would become president. Mm-hmm. That's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Well, actually, or can we go the other side? Does Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal are they sitting on a copy of this file? And, public enemy number one. Sure, there might be, Prince Andrew or Bill Clinton or something like this, but by far the most damage is to Trump. And when this comes on out, you're going to have people turn on him. Was this basically the Murdoch family giving him a heads up saying, hey, you better be ready because if this does come out ever to light, that he's done?
It could be. This is so problematic because if you had Democrats in control in Washington and they had documents that showed Trump in this Epstein Island situation, I can't believe they didn't use them. So that's number one. That doesn't mean it's not there. I'm just surprised it wasn't used. Now, this is what makes no sense whatsoever. You have Ms. Maxwell appealing her conviction. It's a pending case.
Yeah.
Then you say, oh, go release the grand jury testimony. You can't. There's a current proceeding going on regarding her. So the fact that the judge today said, no, you do not have permission to release this. A first-year law student, somebody who actually just applied to law school would know you're not going to get this stuff released when it's used as evidence in a pending situation.
Yep.
How in the world you then have, and this is, again, one side doesn't know what the other is doing. You've got Comer saying we're going to subpoena her to testify before the oversight committee and we'll go to her in prison. At the same time, you've got the Department of Justice saying, I've talked to her lawyer and maybe we can, she can give us some information. You're operating at cross purposes. Is that a deliberate attempt to just stymie everything? Because here's the last thing that to me is really
important. Spot on, by the way. I think you're spot on.
The thing that gets me beyond all that is there's a group of people that have run for years saying you can't trust the federal government. You can't trust the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're in power. And everything they said was the case, they're not showing. Oh, there's all this Epstein stuff that's being withheld from you, but they're not showing it. So now you've conditioned us not to believe the FBI. Now you're the FBI. Now we don't believe you, kind of thing. And this is where it's blowing up because, again, you've got certain Republicans who said, well, I ran on this. I ran on transparency. What the hey? You can and the best tortuous argument is somebody who said, well, the Attorney General did not say she had a list on her desk. She said that she had a file. The file was on her desk. Shut up. I go, no. I sure heard list. I've been in radio a long time. My hearing's shot, but I think I can tell the difference between list and file.
And I mentioned this earlier. I said, yeah, this is like the far right saying, boy, oh boy, did Macron screw up by suing Candace Owens. Really? Really did he screw up? Because that's going to be a 9-figure settlement. I'm pretty sure of it. Anyway, going back to a few things. One,
yes,
your point about this is a war within the Republican Party, and the Trump administration is trying, I'll put Comer and the leadership in the House in the Trump camp. I mean, obviously, Speaker Johnson bailing and running, but they're trying to figure out ways to either gum up the works or create some sort of questionable thing where we can't question this. This is just too much misinformation. We have to put it aside. That's there. As far as the Democrats not bringing it up, I could agree with you, but remember, that's more of a Trump tactic. And as much as you and I can say, okay, at any point you guys want to wake up and realize this is the new reality, be our guest. But the Democrats are still expecting to get a wedgie later on from the Republicans. So I mean, that's just kind of where things are at. But then here's the other thing, which I mean, okay, Trump apparently had 1,000 FBI agents reviewing a non-secure zip file or file on the FBI computer to try to find all the references to Trump, which tells you there's a lot of references to Trump in this file. And the first thing I keep saying to myself, and this is you and I, is that you and I talked about this with 9/11 way back when. It's like, okay, how many people would have to be part of a conspiracy here and keep their mouth shut to pull something like that off? Well, back then it wasn't near. We kind of laughed off the idea of the conspiracy because it was going to be close to 1,000. You have to be 3,000 or 4,000 people are aware of these files and have access to these files. There's no way in the world this doesn't eventually come on out. But that goes back to the other point. Maybe that's the thing, is they're trying to corrupt the system everyone was in it, so someone could have edited it so Trump was not in there, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but again, it's so tortuous, right? And that's why when it was the president saying to the attorney general, release all of this, and she says, we're ready to go to court tomorrow. They all knew it wasn't. I mean, now we're going to blame the judge for not allowing the truth to come out when it gets in the way of the woman's appeal. I mean, if I'm Maxwell, I'm thinking, well, they're in the mood to play let's make a deal. What can I tell them that will get me out of the Gray Bar Hotel? But here's the other thing that and you may have discussed this earlier in the hour. Why is Tulsi Gabbard throwing Obama under the bus this week?
Or trying to. You should mention trying to, because even conservatives at Bulwark are saying there's nothing here. What are you guys even talking about?
That's fair. Why is the campaign going on? Her campaign. Why? I'm trying to figure out, did she just discover it Tuesday night or whatever? I mean, it seems orchestrated as a diversionary tactic.
Oh yeah, no, right? That's pretty clear.
Okay, so okay, so now let's take that further. I mean, if it's that obvious, is it worth the time, the trouble? I just, so much of this I don't understand, because it doesn't really lead you to anything. And I have heard some conservative voices say, if you got it, show the cards. If you've got it, then let's see it. Go take care of business, because otherwise you're crippling the party, not the president, the party for a generation, because this is crying wolf one too many times.
The craziest part about this whole thing is that Trump knew he probably, I mean, let's just be honest. He knew he was on the list. It's funny to watch all these people's like, did you see this Howard Stern interview from 2006? Yeah, we saw this about 7 years ago. Welcome to the party, pal. That sort of thing. But the fact that there comes this realization where Trump knew he was in on these files, but yet kept saying, oh, we're going to put them out there. He played a game of chicken with himself, and now he's driving fully into the ditch. And it's almost beyond comprehension how you could be. I mean, that's the serial killer saying, hey, whatever you do, don't go check the shed. And every time you go over to his house saying, don't check the shed. And by the time you get to about 4 or 5 years down the line, you're like, okay, I think we need to check the shed at this point. Exactly.
That is a fundraising t-shirt.
Yeah.
Check the shed. That is the new code phrase on the Matt McNeil program across the country. Check the shed. Careful how you say it.
Not my shed. Don't go in there. But anyway, you know,
I'm not saying I have a shed, but if I did, don't go. Okay, now you really want to wind things up. I mean, as I told you, I don't have air conditioning in here, so I'm delusional. Is all of this stall tactic giving them time to purge documents?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, okay, so here's the problem is that if I just think so many people are involved that there's just no way in the world that you're going to, well, the whole FBI thing was they were reviewing this. They wanted to create a data sheet, a spreadsheet. I've got to believe in some of these court cases out there that these original documents are there. So they're not going to be able to purge as much because they'll have conflicting documents in actual courtrooms. But no, I mean,
but some of that is sealed.
The Cheney man-size safe stuff, you know, that they basically are saying it's, if it came down to it and came out, could I see Trump basically resigning, giving Vance the things, putting all this stuff into a file and saying, you can't look at it, and I'm going to go live off my crypto money? I could see that.
I would sooner think, yeah, it's plausible, but check the shed. But I can see the stall tactic of, sure, there's conflicting documents in court files, but they're sealed to protect victims. They're sealed because there are appeals pending, etc. Can they play out the string before people discover it?
Well, I think, you know, right now they're already, I mean, the fire is catching up to them. You know, it's burning behind them. Jeff Stein joining us. We'll come back, talk about where's the cheapest storage units in Wichita. And don't go in there, by the way. Don't go in there. Jeff Stein joining us. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Minneapolis' most beloved art celebration is back. The Powderhorn Art Fair returns for its 34th year this August, bringing together over 200 incredible artists, dozens of food trucks, and a whole lot of community love to the heart of South Minneapolis. Join over 15,000 neighbors and visitors in scenic Powderhorn Park on Saturday and Sunday, August 2nd and 3rd, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a colorful, joyful celebration of community and creativity. With 200 local and regional artists showcasing everything from ceramics and sculpture to glass, photography, and handmade jewelry. Grab a bite to eat from over 24 mouth-watering food trucks and bring the kids to the always popular family zone, packed with fun and activities. There's art to buy or just enjoy the summer vibes. Powderhorn Art Fair is where Minneapolis gathers to celebrate art, culture, and connection. Saturday and Sunday, August 2nd and 3rd. Admission is free, and you can find the details at powderhornartfair.com.
July is the annual store-wide sale at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Come see our diverse selection of wood, gas, or electric fireplace products for indoor and outdoor living. And right now, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces can assure you the best price of the season on every product in the store. Let Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces help you choose and experience the joy of sitting by a fire.
Summer is a great time to install your fireplace. You can find your perfect fireplace and have it installed and ready before the cold weather hits again. If you already have a wood fireplace, consider a fireplace insert. Come and see the entire selection at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces on East Franklin and Riverside in Minneapolis. They will create a fireplace that works for you. Efficient, clean burning, and environmentally smart.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
This is Mitch, owner of Junk Masters. Feeling overwhelmed by clutter? Spring's the perfect time to reclaim your space and peace of mind. Renting a dumpster is costly, and it all ends up in the landfill. Just show us what goes. We give usable items a second life by donating them. No calling all over town trying to figure out who takes what. We do the legwork for you. Easy, cost-effective, and local. There's no obligation. Visit junkmastersmn.com today.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Broadcasting in Chicago, WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. In Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. And, of course, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Jeff Stein, kind enough to join us. So I saw the story this morning about beef prices going crazy. I think one of the things that we're seeing here is these tariffs they're playing a bit of havoc with our ag sector. Okay, he announces about the only thing that is a slight positive about the trade deal announced with Japan is the slight increase in rice imports. But as many people say, the Japanese don't like American rice. So it's not exactly going to lead to a lot of more people buying American rice.
Mm-hmm.
There's that problem. The beef prices are going up, and the amount of beef we actually import. This is a major cause of this, especially Brazil, where a lot of their scrap meat comes to us. I'm not sure if that gets ground up, and I do believe some of it goes into pet food and stuff like that. And so now without that, the demand for the other stuff is going up, raising the price. All of a sudden, we're getting more. There is some complexity there. You're down in Iowa. Are you seeing there's going to be more of this coming down the line? Obviously, soybeans and corn and pork are your main and turkey down there as well. You got a lot of turkey producers. What are you seeing right now? I mean, I understand there's a lot of farmers who are big Trump fans who are saying, well, we'll wait and see. But are you starting to see the strains on some of these other, commodities out there?
Well, let's start with beef, because one of the reasons why beef prices are going up in this country is because of the screwworm. No, that's not a government program. That's not code for anything. It's actually an
Dr. Oz. You got Brainworm McGee, and then the screwworm is Dr. Oz. There it is.
There you go. That's the tandem. No, but apparently, and the screwworm, pick a different name for God's sakes, hasn't been around for about 60 years, but it's coming over on insects. And that's why we're not getting imports of Mexican beef. Okay. Yeah. Had an expert talk about that today. And that's why when you start talking about the tariffs, and I'm not diminishing that, what I'm saying is you take the tariffs, you add to that disease that they think they may be able to control, but it's a problem. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go a little further. You've got the president telling Coca-Cola to go back to using cane sugar. That's not going to go over well in corn country.
How much sugar cane is Iowa growing right now? I mean, that's a bit of a problem.
I mean, it's a little tropical here today, but no. I mean, again, you've got the corn syrup that everybody switched to. Well, You've got seed oils as an issue. So the soybean farmers are not happy. Coke and Pepsi going to go back to sugar. That doesn't make the corn farmers very happy. Again, it's just a domino effect. I think you're right. There are people who are still saying, well, let's just see what happens. But I will tell you now, where you are, the state fair is around Labor Day. Yep. Where I am, the state fair comes up in 3 weeks.
Well, and I'm going to say this, if you want it's a good state fair down there. It's very ag heavy, but it's actually, if you want a great experience in ag country about a state fair, go to the Iowa State Fair. It's a good one.
And that's where, I think you're right. And that's no shade on anybody else, but I think you're going to start hearing. I think you get to the middle of August and you got all these Washington people sitting around doing photo ops, gnawing on a pork chop on a stick at the Iowa State Fair, as opposed to actually passing a farm bill to help the producers. You may start seeing some chinks in the armor at that point. But again, there's so many factors. You can't have self-inflicted wounds.
Well, and then for the ag community, let's look at China. China is such a huge problem for us right now. Soybeans, pork, those are our two biggest export areas of those products. Mm-hmm. They like the products, but China's not buckling. And even with this Japanese deal that they announced, and as I talked about this a little bit earlier, it's a 15% tariff. That's 7.5 times higher than it was under Biden. And the fastest you're going to get any kind of Japanese production ramped up here in this country would be 3 years. And that would be if they wanted to do it right today and get through regulation and all these things. This is it. These are nightmarish things. And what we're starting to see is maybe not major buildings falling, but tiles on the building are starting to fall off because it's getting shaken. And I'm only wondering how much longer it is before that really starts to shake and the whole thing comes down.
Well, I know that you're on the White House Talking Points news release list, and so you probably saw, as part of the 6-month check-in, egg prices have gone down more than 50% since Inauguration Day. Okay. First of all, I'm not at my store. Okay.
This is like him screaming gas prices are $1.80 a gallon. It's like, where? In Saudi Arabia.
Not even with my Hy-Vee fuel saver card am I getting $1.80. So I mean, that's nice, but it's always the same thing when you get these government reports and people telling you how much things cost and all this. You're pushing the grocery cart and filling up with gas on the way back. You know better than these government experts that are aggregating data and then sifting out the stuff that makes them look good.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that stuff that just doesn't make any sense. And I brought this up earlier. I mean, you had the housing market cool dramatically last month, down 2.7%. You have the beef prices up. You have this tariff deal where we've got a 7.5 times higher tariff now with Japan. Any of these individual things would have tanked the market a year and a half ago, but it was up 400 points today. There is something really wrong with the system at this point, and I'm insane. I got to tell you, I keep saying to myself, when this thing falls, it's going to fall and fall very hard.
All of the signals that you used to look at, the stock market, the bond, all these things, the economists say we can't rely on these old measures anymore because nothing is running according to the norm. And that's where the danger comes in that you just mentioned.
Well, and I think, if I know the truth, I keep looking at it. I think it's the crypto market is influencing it all. I think people are using that crypto market and the self-inflated costs of that to prop up these other things. And usually this is the house of cards stuff, man. We've seen this with other economic collapses.
Here's what you need to do. Check the shed.
Oh, check the shed. Well, I mean, like I said, I have, there's no reason to go into the producer pit. I have no idea what happened to Patrick in there. He was in there just a moment ago, but there's no reason to go check in there.
You call it the producer pit? What kind of a tyrant are you?
Oh, I've just worked in radio most of my life.
That'll do it. That'll do it. I'm done. You win.
I will post the Iowa Politics Report a little bit later on. Jeff, as always, talk to you later, my friend. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next. The place for live music is the Park Tavern. Live music is taking over the Park Tavern's dog-friendly patio. Head over on Tuesday, July 22nd. It's Colby Straka. Wednesday, July 23rd, is Tyler Herwig, and more great live music for you on Thursday, July 24th. Music runs from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Reservations for groups of 8 or more are recommended, and the Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces for small and large groups with no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, outdoor live music is back at the Park Tavern.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. To avoid gimmicks, call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hi, it's Matt McNeil. Listen to the Matt McNeil Show from 3 until 5 weekday afternoons right here on the progressive voice of Minnesota, AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. A new development in the effort to make more Jeffrey Epstein records public. Sagar Magani has it.
A federal judge has rejected a Trump administration bid to unseal Jeffrey Epstein grand jury records in Florida. The judge says the request to release transcripts from grand jury probes in 2005 and 2007 does not meet extraordinary exceptions under federal law that could make them public. A similar request in New York is pending. The administration last week asked judges in both states to unseal transcripts that led to indictments of both Epstein and his former girlfriend in a sex trafficking case. Parts of the president's base have been pushing for more information about Epstein after he helped fan conspiracy theories for years about a government cover-up. Sagar Magani, Washington.
On Capitol Hill, House Democrats launched a bid to subpoena the Justice Department for its files on Epstein. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
It's reasonable to conclude that Republicans are continuing to protect the lifestyles of the rich and shameless, even if that includes pedophiles.
House Speaker Mike Johnson's preparing to send members home on August recess.
There's no fear. We're not going to allow the Democrats to use this as a political cudgel.
A federal judge in Maryland is prohibiting the Trump administration from taking Kilmar Abrego Garcia into immediate immigration custody if he's released from jail in Tennessee. He's awaiting trial there on human smuggling charges. In Idaho, a judge sentenced Brian Koberger to life in prison without parole for the 2022 killing of 4 University of Idaho students. More than 100 aid groups are warning of starvation in Gaza. And President Trump's announcement of a trade deal with Japan helped send stocks to more records. The S&P rose 0.8%, while the NASDAQ added 0.6%. The Dow jumped 507 points. That's about 1.1%. This is AP News.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya. Approximately 3 out of 10 patients were in endoscopic remission at 1 year, based on areas visualized on colonoscopy, which may not represent the deeper bowel layer or entire GI tract. Individual results may vary. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease, it'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Hi, I'm Corey Wisco, president of the Welshire. The Welshire excels as a memory care community in the Twin Cities, located in Bloomington, and we have a new location in Medina. But what makes Welshire so different is the people that we have working for us. Our team has been together for the past 25 years providing this type of care. We employ some of the most amazing nurses and LPNs that are in the building 24 hours a day. We also have an activity team that is over 40 people. And our scheduling begins at 9 o'clock in the morning for activities, and it goes to 7, 8 o'clock at night. And that's 7 days a week. You won't find that. That is why many of the families that come to Wellshire are actually coming from another memory care facility. Not all memory care is created equally. And that's why I encourage you, if you've had issues and problems at other places, come see what makes us so special. Please visit thewellshiremn.com and book a tour.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. A heat advisory in effect today as we expect cloudy skies and a high near 90. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 70. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 84. The Great Wall Restaurant serves up bold, authentic Chinese flavors. From hot and sour soup to Peking duck, their Szechuan and Mandarin menu is packed with favorites. Visit them at 4515 France Avenue South or at greatwallrestaurant.us. That's greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Wednesday. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I want to remind people of what Jeff Stein and I just said before I give you some breaking news. We were speculating about the Murdochs basically meeting with J.D. Vance last week. And part of the reason why we need to bring this up is the news outlet that broke the birthday card thing with the, hey, and I'm paraphrasing, but do you remember when we had sex with all those young girls? Sign my name. Paraphrasing, like I said. That was the Wall Street Journal, which is owned by the Murdochs. J.D. Vance met with the Murdochs in Montana, I believe it was, prior to the story coming on out. And people have said that J.D. Vance and Jeff Stein just said this. There are people that are saying that J.D. Vance went there under the argument of that he was trying to do damage control. But it might have been, and Jeff's comment was, maybe, just maybe, this was Vance trying to get out in front of this because he knew that he needed to basically start sweet talking the Fox guys if all of a sudden Trump resigns and he becomes president. All right. The thing I said was, I actually think it's the other way. I think the Murdochs reached out to Vance and said, we've got a treasure trove of stuff here, and Trump does not look good. This was just, 15 minutes ago. Trump, we were talking about this. Stein and I were talking about Trump in this whole thing about 15, 20 minutes ago. Breaking news. The Justice Department told Trump in May that his name is indeed in the Epstein files. From the Wall Street Journal, Murdoch's paper. I think they know they've got the whole damn thing. I think they've got the whole thing. I think they know exactly how much Trump is in there. And I think that they pulled J.D. Vance aside and said, you better get ready to start measuring the Oval Office because he's not going to last much longer once this thing comes to light. When the Justice Department officials reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a truckload of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein earlier this year, they discovered that Trump's name appeared multiple times, said the Wall Street Journal, citing senior administration officials. Multiple times. Oh, he's the pedophile in chief. He's I think the Murdochs know exactly what's in that file. That it's pure speculation, but the fact that this just came from the Wall Street Journal, and now this is a right-wing news outlet definitively reporting that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Sure, Mike Johnson. Sure. This is all we're not going to let those Democrats get sensationalized. Dude, Speaker Johnson is basically defending a pedophile. The Christian Speaker Johnson. Christian man, Speaker Johnson. Wow. And that would be so freaking delicious if once again, I mean, you're looking like the Pentagon Papers, you're looking at something which once again was basically the left has been talking about this issue for years and years and years. They have been talking about this. The left has been talking about this. And it only was when Elon Musk ratted out Trump that he was in there. So he must have been aware that what Pam Bondi told him. Maybe he was in the room. I mean, once again, they were best buddies for a while. I would guess the Wall Street Journal. I think the Murdoch family has the entire file. We talked about this as well. You've got thousands of people who are now been involved. Would anyone be surprised if someone made a copy of it and gave it to Fox News, gave it to the Murdochs, and they didn't put it on Fox News because they knew they couldn't get away with it on Fox News, so they give it to their right-leaning but still with some little bit of reputation, the Wall Street Journal, and let the Journal basically fry them. I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg here. Yep. And the way that this whole thing is becoming, this is an onion getting peeled at this point. There is layer and layer, and I am going to tell you, my gut feeling is there is definitive evidence that Trump, whether it's a list of underage girls with Donnie T next to their name, basically, matching up with dates and times where you can prove that he was down there. And here's the crazy part. As I say this right now, I'm going to guess half his supporters will say, I don't care if he raped kids. Raping kids is okay if compared to a Democrat. You people are so broken. You people are so broken. Wow. Pam Bondi told Trump his name was in the Epstein files in May. Yeah, Speaker Johnson we're just going to pause the House. It has nothing to do with Epstein. Did the Wall Street Journal call Johnson and say, hey, we're going to release this? It's like, okay, we're adjourned. Gavel. We're adjourned. We're running for the hills. Hey, why do you guys always want to talk about politics? It's college football season. Patrick, it's almost college football season. Can't we talk about, why does everything have to be about Epstein? Can't we talk about college football?
Donald Trump would love nothing more than everything about college football. I know who's going to win the national championship. Come get a Wendy's buffet.
No, he'll say, I know who's going to win the World Series. That's how he'll say it. Because, of course, he's a big fan of football. Wow. Holy God. Did we get any water here in the station when that nasty thing came through this afternoon?
I don't think so.
I came upstairs. Now, first of all, I let my dog out this morning at 4 a.m. She woke me up, take her outside. I opened the door. It felt like freaking Bali out there. I mean, it was ungodly hot and humid and just, ugh. The dog even is like, well, okay, maybe I can hold it. So you knew something was coming. I'm downstairs. I'm prepping my show because, radio professional. I come upstairs because I wanted some Cheez-Its, hungry. And I look out the back window and it is, I couldn't believe it. That rain was coming down so dang hard and so dang fast. The first thing I did is I ran to all my gutters and made sure they were running clean, which they were, thank goodness. But still, I was wondering, is this going to overflow the gutters? Because can they get the water off the house fast enough? It was, wow. That was amazing. The radar estimates 1 to 2 inches of rain had accumulated in short order by 1:15 in parts of Anoka and Hennepin counties. Another 1 to 3 inches of rain possible. The traditional opening parade will not happen at the Aquatennial because of these weather here. They have made the decision to pull back on that. Organizers canceled Wednesday night's torchlight parade due to the projected likelihood of severe weather, including thunderstorms, strong winds, and potential flash flooding. Also, it sounds like we got an air quality thing, so it sounds like we're getting some of that Canadian wildfire air coming back in. So wet and smoky. That sounds dirty. Ugh. Ugh. You know, pastrami is the most sensual of smoked meats. You know, we all know that here. Wow, I'm still just floored. Wow, Trump knew Pam Bondi, who I want to remind you is the Attorney General of the United States of America. And she came out, a week ago and said, there was no Epstein file. There's no Epstein. The Attorney General of the United States came on out and said an absolute falsehood to the American people's face. There's no Epstein file. And now the Wall Street Journal is reporting that in May, she knew there was an Epstein file and she knew Trump's name was all over it. And she warned Trump that that was the case. Pam Bondi is the worst attorney general in the history of this country, and that's factoring in Merrick Garland. She is leaps and bounds. I mean, as bad as Merrick Garland was, she is the worst attorney general this country has ever seen. She is an absolute disaster. She openly lied to the American people. There was a time in this country, if you did something like that, you were gone. Trump, it gets you another 50,000 followers on Twitter. Wow. 952. I'm just stunned. I'm stunned. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Minnesota's top CEOs. Okay, so I've got multiple friends who work remotely, and they've liked working remotely, although I have to admit, and this is something I've talked about before, with the pandemic rules that went into place, which were definitely necessary. Let me explain something about CEOs and executives. They like being looked up at. They do. They like having the executive washroom. They love having their executive dining area. They love having their, top of the line car and their executive parking spot. They like going into the office in a suit and having everyone say, wow, that's a really nice suit. They like that. They desperately want to be looked upon. And at the same time, and this is my experience with wealthy people, they desperately want to be perceived as cool. They desperately want to be perceived as cool. This is kind of a perfect storm when it comes to the idea of, do you have remote working? Because on one side, they basically want to show off what they've got. And that's just executives. I mean, that's the case. It's not every company, but a lot of them, that's the case. It's like, I want to show off my Porsche, that sort of thing. And where you might say, oh, they want to be perceived as cool, you don't understand how little interaction wealthy executives actually have with the common everyday people. So I was at a Dunkin' Donuts. This was about 2 weeks ago. I was at a Dunkin' Donuts. It's one of those that have kiosks in it. And yes, I'll be the first to say kiosks are a pain in the ass. Not a big fan of them. I prefer to have someone there asking the question, but I also have had an iPad. I mean, I know how to order things on there. And, I got the chocolate glaze. Come on, old school chocolate glaze, that blueberry glaze. Mwah. Man, I love, what's your favorite Dunkin' Donut, man?
The blueberry one you mentioned, that's a good one.
That's a solid endeavor, isn't it? Yeah, and their coffee is very good. I like their coffee. I'm ordering my stuff, no problem. Ding, 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 ding. There's this guy that comes in, and he's clearly, first of all, he just looks way too douchey to be anything but a wealthy guy. He's crawled on into the masses here. Oh my gosh. It's a kiosk. There are human beings over there. There should be pampering to my needs. and this guy just had the goofiest looking goatee. Oh God, he just looked bad. I mean, dude, you're trying too hard. You're trying way too freaking hard. Stop it. Well, he was trying to order an apple fritter, which once I realized he was having a problem, I just went back to the main menu. I was like, oh, here it is right here. He couldn't do it. Because here is this guy who's, he wanted to wander into the middle and lower class world that is America. And he's going, can't somebody behind that counter come and help me and take my order? Why is this so difficult? And it was hilarious to watch. You see, is they want to be perceived as cool. That's why they show up at Coldplay concerts and stuff. That's why. They want to be perceived as cool. They're desperate to be there. But you can't be perceived as cool as everyone staying at home. So that's why executives do this. They want to show off what they've got, and they want to be perceived as cool. But the coolest thing they could do is let everyone still be remote working, but they don't want to do that. Plus, I understand there's also the financials of real estate and office space and stuff like that. Some of Minnesota's top CEOs live out of state, even as their companies tighten return to office mandates for employers. Why it matters, in addition to dampening morale, CEOs who live out of state may be hurting company performance, according to a Boston College, Arizona State study. The Star Tribune reported that Minnesota has a lower rate of fly-in CEOs than neighboring states. Well, that's because, the neighboring states. At least 2 large corporations tightened their return-to-work policies, have CEOs who live elsewhere. Target CEO Brian Corwell is registered to vote in Florida, according to state records, although he has a condo in Wayzata. Were you ordering donuts the other day? Never mind. Ameriprise CEO James Caracciolo lives in New Jersey. Recently, unretired United Health Group CEO Andrew Winty did not live in Minnesota, according to the Strip. The University of Minnesota professor Miles Shaver told the paper that given all the travel CEOs do, it's irrelevant where they live. Yeah, but it's kind of hard when you're living in your posh Miami Beach mansion. I don't know if he's in Miami Beach in Florida, but just, I'm at my posh mansion on the ocean side here. I'm working. Ooh, look at me sweating up a storm. Everybody's got to get back into the office in Minneapolis. Now, pardon me while I go out there and jet ski over some manatees. Oh, I missed it, that guy. I have. Anyway, I can tell you right now, you run your businesses. That's your job. That's your deal. I'm a business major. I know. I'm a business major. You run your business how you see fit. As long as you're not breaking the law, I could care less. That being said, you have to ask yourself the question. If you're actually able to survive, and you survived the pandemic, which you clearly did, and you did it because people were working remotely, is you having them come back to the office about them or you? Because the reality is I think a lot of the time has far more to do with the executives and their desires than the actual benefit of the worker. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is having its annual store-wide sale. For the entire month of July, all of our indoor and outdoor fireplace products and accessories are at their lowest price of the year. At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display, explain, and install the Twin Cities' most diverse selection of indoor and outdoor stoves and fireplaces, including metal and masonry pizza ovens.
While shopping for a fireplace insert at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, I was amazed at all the choices. Not just gas, electric, or wood burning, but also built-in or freestanding, and options in every style from antique to modern. The staff listened to us, explained the options, and helped us choose a fireplace we love. Now it warms our hearts and our home every winter. Thank you, Woodland Stoves, for a great addition.
Come see us. We have over 35 working displays in our store, which is just off I-94 at the corner of Riverside and East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Oh, keeping you up to date on the breaking news. Trump was informed by Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, in May that his name was indeed in the files of the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case. According to reporting by the Wall Street Journal, Bondi and an associate informed the president in a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files. The official said many other high-profile figures were also named. Trump was told being mentioned in the records isn't simply a sign of wrongdoing, reported Sadie Gurman, Annie Liskey, Josh Dawsey, and Alex Leary. Trump was friends with Epstein for years with some of the most salacious episodes there. But, come on. At the time, Bondi reportedly explained to Trump that they could not release the entirety of the Epstein files, an issue that has become a flashpoint in the administration. Well, what she's doing is she's saying, we can't release this or you're done. Let's be honest. That's what she was really saying. We can't release this or you're done. They told the president at a meeting that the files contained what the officials felt was unverified hearsay from many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past. Some of the officials said they were also told that Trump's senior Justice Department officials didn't plan to release any more documents related. Once again, she knew this document existed, and she just was there a week and a half ago saying it did not exist. Here's where this gets great, because this is the Republicans are basically flopping around. Not only is the Speaker of the House gaveling the House closed and running out of town, House Republicans had to swiftly shut down a congressional hearing today when Democrats tried to introduce a measure to subpoena the Epstein files from the Justice Department. The chaos unfolded. Here's where they kind of got into trouble here. The chaos unfolded during a hearing in the House Oversight Subcommittee on Federal Law Enforcement, where the topic at hand was the crisis of unaccompanied alien children. Representative Summer Lee, Democrat from Pennsylvania, the ranking member of the committee, then introduced the motion on Epstein. So, this is just, they have all these things. This is their talking point. We're just protecting kids. And it just opens the door. Well, if you want to protect kids, should we know who is having sex with children on the Epstein files? And the Republicans have no answer to this because they know Donald Trump's in there. At that point, Clay Higgins, the Republican from Louisiana, suspended the motion until the end of the hearing. Then, rather than holding a vote on it, however, Higgins abruptly recessed the hearing, telling members when pressed onto the panel would reconvene to stand by. So basically, he just gavelled the panel closed and ran for the hills. And so every time, and frankly, this is, like I said, they talk about unaccompanied minors, trafficking, transgender athletes. Anytime the Republicans bring up, we're only concerned about the kids, the next thing out of a Democrat's mouth was, hey, considering you're concerned about kids, let's get those Epstein files, shall we? Wow. I think the Wall Street Journal knows everything. I think they know everything. And I think Murdoch is holding off on releasing it all until basically he gets to a point where he doesn't want to be the last guy to release it. But at the same time, I don't think he wants to necessarily rush it if he doesn't have to. And maybe this is, Trump's going to go to Scotland for a few days? Maybe he flies out to Scotland and said, sir, I'm sorry, I cannot hold this story back. This story is going to get reported. And if it doesn't get reported by me, it's going to get reported by somebody else. And so you have to decide what you want to do with the rest of all this. And yeah. God. And, like I said, you guys sat there the entire time, all the time, and sat there, no, this isn't anything. You guys are, it's all Democrats. And pardon me a second there. Now, one thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to say definitively, if there are Democrats on that list, I want them prosecuted. I do. I want them prosecuted. If they were going to Jeffrey Epstein's child sex island to have sex with children, yep, don't have any problem with that. The problem you guys have is you want to be able to pick and choose. You want to be able to say, well, was there any Democrats on there? Was there any of the big Hollywood celebrities on the list? Well, those guys should be held accountable. Well, Donald Trump is in there. Yeah, how dare you besmirch that little boy? He's our precious little boy. And can I also bring this up? If he's having health problems, which it sure seems like he is, the fact that he could be the first president in history to have to resign, let's face it, if this comes to light, even the Republicans are not going to be able to, if they've got definitive proof, they're not going to be able to sweep this under the rug, and there is going to be an impeachment hearing. And even with that Republican House and Senate, I don't think he'd survive. I don't think all these Republicans, unless they basically want to torpedo the Republican Party as a whole for the next 40 years. Maybe they will. Maybe they will do that. But I think Trump will basically, if it comes down to it, I think he'll just resign, give Vance the presidency, walk away. Oh, and yeah, sure, J.D. Vance is going to resonate just like Trump did with MAGA. And, we're in the state of Minnesota. Tom Emmer, why do you keep protecting a pedophile? Hey, Tom. Hey, Michelle Fishbach, why do you keep protecting a pedophile? Hey, Stubby Stauber, why do you keep protecting a pedophile? Hey, Opie Dowd and One, hey, why do you guys keep protecting pedophiles? Huh? Why are you guys so preventing of us finding out who's on the Epstein list? Huh? Would any of you vote to hold Donald Trump accountable if you found out that he was having sex with young girls? Definitive proof? Of course you wouldn't. Of course Tom Emmer wouldn't vote for that. He's perfectly fine with Donald Trump having sex with young girls as long as it's Trump. Same thing with Fishbox. Same with Star. Prove me wrong. Because I'm going to tell you what. Tick-tock goes the clock. And by the time I think you get back in September, yeah, you might have a budget crisis you'll have to deal with. But my guess is the bigger problem is going to be this. He's your guy. He's your guy. Love him. You love him. And you're protecting him at all costs. The pedophile in chief. We now know his name was in the Epstein files, as told to him by that liberal hack, Pam Bondi. Wow. Yeah, okay. 952-946. I can't wait for Colbert tonight, by the way. I cannot wait for Stephen Colbert tonight. That's going to be fun. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. The Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. The month of July is National Carpet Cleaning Month, and because of that, Zero Res is offering a purchase of 3 rooms of carpet cleaned. Get 1 room free plus $50 off an air duct cleaning. Maybe you're having a barbecue for the 4th of July. We'll also have Aquatennial coming up in Minneapolis later this month. You want to make sure your home is fresh and clean for your friends and family coming over to celebrate. If your carpet's looking more like a snowbank in late March, muddy, crunchy, and kind of mysterious, it's time to call Zero Res, don't you know? These folks come in with their fancy schmancy ZR water. It's like regular water, but with a master's degree in cleanliness. Zero Res can handle it all. Carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, air ducts, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. So it's time to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res today. Schedule your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZERO-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Only in the forest can you see this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Overwhelmed trying to make sense of Medicare? As a licensed advisor, I can help you determine your healthcare needs and evaluate your options. I'm Harvey Pearl of Pearl & Company, and I want you to have the peace of mind knowing you have the best coverage available. You deserve an advocate you can trust and coverage you can rely on. And there's no fee, ever. Annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. Find me at pearlsofwisdom.com. That's PERLES of wisdom.com. So we can strategize together.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Showers and thunderstorms continue tonight with a low of 71. Then Thursday, partly sunny with a high of 84. For more than 40 years, the Great Wall Restaurant has been serving up Szechuan and Mandarin favorites. The Great Wall is located just north of 50th in France on the Minneapolis-Edina City line. Check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. I actually, as opposed to relishing in the fact that we might be seeing the beginning of the Trump downfall, we can only hope. The reality is I was going to spend actually a part of this hour today, calling out Democrats actually, and saying you guys keep kind of screwing things up here a little bit. I think that when Michael Broadcorp and I talk about politics, I mean, he's an old school Republican, I'm an old school Democrat. Basically, it boils down to this. He feels as if the government should do some things, but they should try to give the taxpayer back most of their money and they can decide what other services they want. I basically feel the opposite, that I know that there are going to be some services that just do not get supplied and people are going to be hurt and in need, so that if there is a need, that the government should step up and supply certain things. I mean, a great example of that is the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. The reason that exists is because the healthcare industry was so bad that infants were being denied for pre-existing conditions. And it was people were constantly going bankrupt. Now, I'm not saying the system we have in place is much better, but we actually try to address that and change that and make things better because the government has a role. And the Democrats in this state come up with a lot of great ideas. They come up with a lot of great ideas. But the problem is that you're naive. And you think to yourself, we're going to give a bunch of money to help out hungry people, to help out people who are trying to learn English as a second language, to help out with housing issues, to help out with other medical issues. And you don't put into place the basic guardrails you need to put in there to make sure the program doesn't get abused. Because, and trust me, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a Democrat about an issue, about a policy, and I'll say, well, how do you, make sure that this doesn't get abused? And they'll say, well, we'll figure that out later. And you're like, you need to figure that out now. Because what we're starting to see is almost an organized criminal element. Well, I'm not going to say it seems like it is an organized criminal element that looks at government programs and realizes, well, because there are dupes that are trying to help people, these things are easy to take advantage of. And they do. And they hurt a lot of people as they do that. And that's not good. And when you have a good program in place, I mean, when you look at the Feeding Our Future thing, I don't think that there was a problem with the idea of, well, if kids were going to be stuck at home during the pandemic, making sure they had a food option available within certain communities was a good idea. That's fine. But you didn't have really the oversight you needed in place to make sure that was not going to be abused. 34-year-old man pled guilty on Monday to his role in the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. Assad Abshir pleaded guilty to 1 count of money laundering. He is the 48th defendant to be convicted in that, prosecutors, the largest pandemic fraud case in the country. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Abshir and his brother helped work for the nonprofit Stigma Free International, which claimed to operate a food distribution site in Mankato. The DOJ says the Abshirs did not provide the 1.6 million meals for children that they had claimed they had. Abshir received $750,000 in funds. The DOJ says it has seized $424 from the bank account of his shell company, Santana LLC. This guilty plea is another step in exposing the staggering levels of fraud that have been hiding in plain sight across Minnesota. The defendant laundered money meant to feed children and funneling into a web of shell companies and luxury spending. Abshir is the 37th Feeding Our Future defendant to plead guilty. Amy Bach, the ringleader of the $250 million fraud case, was found guilty in March of multiple criminal counts, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit federal programs bribery. The craziest thing about Feeding Our Future is that it was so bad that anyone should have just a basic review and said, wait a second here. Whoa. I want to stop. What's the population of Mankato? Why? Well, these guys are saying they fed 1.6 million meals. All right. Let's see here. I'm giving Matt's Math Corner. There it is. 1,600,000. That's 1.6 million. What is let me see if I can find this here. Population of Mankato. Let's see. Population of Mankato. 45,742. So divided by, I'll just go 46, just to round it up. 46,000. Ding, ding, ding. Equals that they would have had to have fed every person in Mankato 34 meals. Okay. At 35. I'll round it up again. 35 meals. There's no way on the planet this group was feeding every person in Mankato 35 meals. This should have been a huge red flag. And granted, there were people that started saying some of this does not add up. But by the time they figured that out, it was too late. And the question I have to ask you guys, as you put into these programs and you put out these ideas that are going to be, to save people, to help people, you need to put in there the extra steps to make sure that the abuse doesn't happen. Acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Minnesota, Joe Thompson, told Channel 5 his office has prosecuted $500 million in government fraud over the past couple of years. Thompson, who also said that with the current investigation and prosecution finished, the scope of fraud in Minnesota government programs could exceed $1 billion. That's an extraordinary problem, the fraud that is pervasive in the state. Medicaid reimbursements for the Federal Housing Stabilization Services program exceeds $100 million, Thompson told Channel 5, and a vast majority of that program is fraudulent. So someone sat down and said, we're going to do Medicaid reimbursements for Federal Housing Stabilization Services and to do this. And you created a program where there is far more fraud than good. And I get it. There are some zealots on the left as well as on the right who will sit there and say, I don't care if 99 people were fraudulent, if one person was saved. And no, that's not how this works. The Republicans are the complete opposite right now. You could have a program where 99 people get help, but one person gets fraud, and they can shut that program down because of that one person. And you guys can't stop freaking patting yourselves on the back about, look at all the good they're taking $100 million. As this guy says, the vast majority of that program is fraudulent. I think people are opening their eyes to the reality of it. We can't always assume that things are on the up and up. We have to make sure we're scrutinizing things that look suspicious. Absolutely. They recouped $60 million in the Feeding Our Future scam, and without admitting any wrongdoing, New Way Alliance agreed to pay $18 million in fines for being accused for overbilling Medicaid. Housing stabilization service programs and autism centers investigations are still going. And once again, the autism centers, it's clear that those are fraudulent too. We had the people that were taking advantage of the tax rebates and basically forcing people to sign up to give them tax rebates and then taking all their taxpayer dollars, their tax refund. Here's where your mistake comes in. You can have the best intentions. You can have your heart in the right place. You can say, we're going to help cover autism centers, or we're going to help with housing stabilization, or we're going to help with English as a second language, or we're going to go help with feeding hungry people. And those are all great ideas. But because you guys are so piss poor at basically putting in any kind of accountability factions into the equation, you end up having a situation where the majority of the program is broken. And then all of a sudden you have no argument, none, to the good that you were trying to do. Good intentions wrapped in faulty operations aren't good. And I believe we should be doing these things. And not just saying, well, nobody's going to take advantage of this. You need to come to grips that there clearly are people who are, first of all, very intelligent, who are scouring these programs to try to find any leeway they can to basically be able to bill somebody for something and run away with the money. And it does you no good when you have people that are doing that. The program itself it's easy to see how Republicans can win out on that. If you guys, DFL, if you guys are smart, what you would do is put together a study group to say, how do we make sure the good intentions bills that we put forward aren't being taken advantage of by people that are thieves? They're thieves. And you just saying, well, we made them pinky swear before they got their money. That's not stopping anything. This is a chronic problem. This is not just a problem in Minnesota. It's a problem with Democrats a lot of places. They fall in love with we're going to save the day, and they don't realize, well, yeah, and that's great. That's fine. What are you putting into place to make sure that doesn't happen? And yeah, for an organization, maybe not the individual, but the organizations that step up that want to provide these services, I don't have any problem with them making a slight bit of profit for providing a service to the community. But you seem to act as if putting in any kind of checks and balances on the backside of that is somehow a bridge too far. We cannot burden these people. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. And at this point, you are almost criminal if you don't have some oversight. Because these guys are just better at this stuff. And I'm not saying you're going to get rid of it. You can go on out there and pass oversight. These people find ways to get past it. You've got to do a better job, because I'm not going to walk away. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a person who says 99 people are getting food, but one person fraudulently got food. Well, then shut down the entire program. I'm never going to be that person. But I don't have a hard time understanding how good intentions get completely and totally derailed and turned over and flipped on their head when, oh, well, of the 100 people that we wanted to help, 40 got help, 60 people stole money from us. That's a win. No, it's not. That is a gross mistake. The fastest way to basically shut the Republicans up when it comes to social safety net programs is to make sure that the safety net programs cannot be abused. And that takes a few extra bits of minutes on the front end of the bill writing. You do that, you figure out where the problem is, or you just figure out a basic checks and balances system. And yeah, that might mean somebody enters stuff into a database. But when you go back to feeding our future, like I said, you get to a point where you're looking at the guys, this one group in Mankato, was supposedly feeding every person in Mankato 35 meals. At that point, it's pretty clear something is wrong and something is not right. It's not adding up. You need to do better because, frankly, we need to make sure we're taking care of the people. And it shouldn't be a wealthy people get everything and the rest of us get screwed society. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at ShambotFamilyDentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Hey, it's Tom. There's a war being waged on clean energy. A bill in Congress could eliminate the 30% federal tax credit for solar by the end of 2025. And once it's gone, it may never come back. Fossil fuel giants and their MAGA friends in Washington want to kill green energy. But you can fight back. Going solar with All Energy Solar isn't just smart, it's a form of resistance. You choose where your money goes, not to utility companies, not to fossil fuel billionaires, but toward clean, renewable power for your home. A system from All Energy Solar works in Minnesota year-round because it runs on sunlight, not heat. So even in the dead of winter, you're generating electricity. And All Energy Solar helps you save with every rebate and incentive available. This is the moment to act. Waiting means risking with this tax credit and giving the upper hand to MAGA Republicans. So get your free consultation today at allenergysolar.com and take back your power.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Coming up here in the next hour, if it's Native Roots Radio, if you're not listening to Native Roots Radio, you're just wrong. It's Native American news, and sweet Lord, you're not going to hear it anywhere else. It is fantastic. It is an insight. It will make you smarter, and it will make you a better person, too, listening to that show. It is an absolutely amazing show. Robert Pilot and crew down there. Tonight, are Vina Martin from Emerge, Wisconsin, and Bob Blake from the Solar Bear with the Solar News. It's Native Roots Radio guest tonight, so make sure you stop by at that. That's just next hour. Just leave the knob there, and you're going to be just fine. Coming up here a little bit later on, not only got Patty Vasquez coming on in here, but our good friend Greg Bakken, Ghostbox Radio, old school quality radio, 10 o'clock weeknights right here. It is absolutely fantastic. One question readings with psychic medium Refined Divine. All right. What kind of Doritos do I want to eat tonight? See, it's stuff like this that tells you why Greg Bakken has told me I cannot come into his show unless we're talking about Doctor Who, and that's it. That is it. He does not let me in there because I am a jerk. But no, if you want to get some good stuff, if you ever listen to this, it's fantastic. And you can call in on it. One question readings with psychic medium, Refined Divine. That's tonight on Ghostbox Radio, 10 o'clock tonight, right here on AM 950. One final story here for you. Community advocates continue to seek justice for Amir Locke, demanding the dismissal of Sergeant Mark Hanneman at a press conference on Tuesday. This comes after a report revealed that Minneapolis Police Department officer Hanneman, who shot and killed Locke on February 2022 with that no-knock search warrant, and the guy was not the criminal they were looking for, legally in the apartment, was carrying a legal gun, and they killed him because he was black. Hanneman now leads the use of force training. What the F? Wow. Hanneman was not charged for shooting Locke, once again, because the laws in this state basically say that as long as you say, I was scared, there is zero accountability whatsoever for a law enforcement agent who died from gunshot wounds during a no-knock warrant in relation to a homicide investigation in downtown Minneapolis apartment. Locke was not a suspect or a target of the raid. And by the way, I should remind you, they said, we didn't know if it was our suspect. You take a look at the two pictures of the two. It was, you shot him because he was black. That's why. It was later revealed that Hanneman fired the weapon 9 seconds after entering the apartment. At that moment, Locke lay under a blanket with a gun. Minneapolis Police Department spokesperson confirmed that Hanneman had assisted in the use of force training before the Locke incident, but began leading the training for the entire department after criminal charges were cleared in April of 2022. So it was this one of those things where is this training going, after 9 seconds, blast away? Is that how the use of force training goes? He was also promoted to the sergeant position in September of 2022. You ever want to know how effed up that Minneapolis Police Department was? That's just this. This is just them rubbing Amir Locke's body in the mess that they have made. That is just, how? What are you going to do about it, Minneapolis? Show you what we're going to do. Wow. During a Tuesday press conference, advocates said they were outraged by the police officer's promotion and the current role as use of force training. I can't believe that. Holy God. If Officer Mark Hanneman understood how to properly use a use of force, a kind of situation that Amir Locke found himself in, Amir would still be alive today, said Nakima Levy Armstrong, the founder of Racial Justice Network. We should get her back on the air again. She's good talk. Armstrong also called the officer's promotion within months of killing Amir Locke an insult to the family and the community. Oh, that was by design. I have zero doubt that was by design. And once again, this is all before O'Hara got in there. O'Hara seems to be trying to fix a lot of this stuff, although, yeah, how is this guy in that position? To have someone who should have been fired first and foremost, and if they decided not to fire him, which we see that they didn't, they should have at minimum disciplined him, which that did not occur. Instead, they rewarded him by promoting him into the position of authority. Among the speakers was Amir Locke's father, Andre Locke, and he said losing his son was feeling that never gets over and expresses disappointment. I can understand that. I imagine that must be horrible. The system failed my son and my family from the top down through the MPD. Once again, the guy had done nothing wrong. He was legally in the apartment. He legally carried the gun, and they blasted him away because he was black. He also said the appointment of Hanneman to lead the use of force training impacts the whole community. You appoint an officer who took my son's life. You appoint him to a position where he's able to train others. That is absolutely disrespectful, said Andre Locke. It's more than a slap in the face. It's a blatant disrespect of our community, and we demand justice. Referring to Mayor Fry, Armstrong said the community advocacy groups have several demands, including the removal of Hanneman from any leadership or training roles within the MPD. The advocates also seek public disclosure of how the officer was assigned to the use of force training, as well as the future implementation of training reforms recommended by community safety work groups. The city has a duty to its residents to conduct an independent third-party investigation. Following the press conference, Chief O'Hara issued a statement regarding Hanneman's role. Hanneman worked on the current use of force training will be completed in August. That work has been reviewed and approved by the city's independent evaluator. What he does next will continue to be based on the needs of the department and our continued goal to build community trust. Well, yeah. Chief, I like you, Chief. Chief O'Hara, I think your heart's in the right place. this is a big swing and a miss. All right. I'm just going to say it. Any new breaks? Well, in case you missed it, just this hour, we found out that Pam Bondi had told Donald Trump that indeed his name's all over the Epstein files in May. It did that. Any new breaking story there on this? Oh, well, just that, his assistant AG is trying to negotiate a deal with Maxwell. So, yeah, guilty. Native Roots Radio is coming up next. Have a good one. We are back tomorrow at 3. Till then, see ya.
Minneapolis' most